Hey all, Jiri's here. Welcome to our 11th Vue.js Berlin meetup. And like we go like classical check. It's. Can you hear me? See me? Awkward silence. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so today we will have one presentation from Daniel, and he will be talking about encoding and decoding I/O operations in the front end, which is not like Vue.js per se, but I think it will be very interesting for all of us for front ends. So I'm definitely excited about it. And then after that, we will have after talk with Daniel. So stay tuned definitely for some deep knowledge of everything. So that's pretty much it for now. I will connect with Daniel and he will give us his presentation. So stay tuned and we will back soon. So hi, I have Danielle with me here right now. So yeah, Danielle will talk about encoding and decoding I operation in the front end, and Danielle works at the Homeday, and he's a front end developer living in Berlin, and he is from Brazil. So without further ado, let's introduce Danielle. You can go.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. And well, let's begin the talk. So today I'm here to talk about something a bit more generic. As Jiri already said, I will talk about encoding and decoding our payloads in front end. And maybe with that, we can manage to keep a bit our sanity while living in a dynamic typing world. Maybe we can manage a few problems that we have when we need to deal with our applications in our daily basis. Also, please feel free to interrupt me at any time in this presentation with questions if I'm not being clear enough. Just to introduce me again, my name is Daniel. I'm a front-end engineer at Homeday. Homeday is one of the leading real estate companies in Germany. So we act as a full brokerage service with low commissions. So you can find me mostly in GitHub, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So yeah, feel free to follow. So let's begin by describing what exactly I mean by encoding and decoding, because those are generic terms. We might heard them when we talk about URL decoding, basis 64, or even strings, digital circuits. But I want to talk most specifically about I/O operations, I/O encoding and decoding that we do in front end. And this is mostly common use when we need to handle JSON, especially when we do API requests, right? So, but we can use those concepts and apply those concepts with every kind of I/O operation, even with files. So JavaScript is a single-threaded dynamic typing language. This sort of gives us a lot of flexibility, speed, and power, and also makes the language easier to introduce to someone, so it's easy to catch up. But all of that comes out with a cost. We face a lot of complex async operations, and also the dynamic nature of the language may leave us with cryptic errors or unpredictable state that is also hard to maintain. So here we will see a list of a few bugs that I took a screenshot a while ago in Homeday. So basically, those are bugs that we face in our daily basis, right? So we are trying to access a function from a variable that is not actually there, or here in this case, we think that t is a string, but actually maybe it's null, maybe it's undefined, maybe it's an integer at some point in time in our application, and an error like that might emerge. And in Homeday, we have a lot of front-end applications. We have different front-end applications, so we have different kinds of errors. So an object expected in a function inside of API mapper archive, or this one is an interesting error that because it's a common error, right? Cannot read property X of undefined. So we are trying to access a property of something that is not defined yet. Or it doesn't have this kind of property. And most of those errors are pretty straightforward to solve. We just try to check the stack trace and just follow through our lives and fix most of them. Sometimes we unlock new errors. But for example, for this particular error, it was quite interesting because just by analyzing the stack trace, it wasn't enough to actually find out what was the problem. And the problem actually was in a different part of the system, because we actually were displaying a screen that that didn't had the data that it needed to load before. So we had a screen that we then load up a model, and this screen needed some data from this model because the user should select an option here, and then we had an error. And here you can see, yeah, we face a lot of errors, even like in legacy code bases when we use jQuery. For most of the modern front-end applications, we use Vue, but we still have a few legacy issues. And yeah, we can keep moving with that. But all of those errors are kind of, well, at least we have the logs. We have the stack trace. We have explicit error in Sentry, so we should fix them. And it's not a problem. It's part of our jobs, and we do this in our daily basis. But the worst ones are the silent errors, are actually data inconsistency. And what I mean by that, sometimes the user actually open a screen in the application, and the user might see something like this, a major inconsistency. So yeah, we are open 9 days a week. So without taking proper care of our code, the user might see those weird cases. And impossible states are actually possible if we don't take the enough care with that. And those are even the maybe the worst kind of errors, because this doesn't blow up. We don't know that this is happening unless the user report to us, or we catch it in a QA or so on. So to translate a bit to something that can be a bit more like in our daily basis, I managed to reproduce this kind of error, like, yeah, is here Kuroski or here Daniel. It's expected to print it out in this screen, but actually is here undefined. Sometimes we find undefined, or sometimes we find object, because we are trying to print out an object. And I managed to reproduce this bug just by changing the input from the backend. So I changed the data type from the backend, and the application didn't blow up, but we are displaying here undefined. So this is sort of a diagram on how we actually deal in our daily basis with one application. Maybe we have a better infrastructure around it. Maybe we have a better testing and a better architecture. Maybe we have a better typing architecture. But for most common cases, we are just dealing with our applications like this. We consume data from input from like, let's say here API. So we are consuming from an API that it either return a response. This response might be like a 500, a 404, a 401. It can be our data, and we usually deal with that. We might choose to ignore those errors and just like put in a catch block and just ignore everything. But we also might be getting a bomb in our system. For example, a variable that we expect that the variable will always exist. Let's say, yeah, we are always expecting that name is a string and name is always there in the system. But this not always is the truth. So we grab this bomb, and let's say that we use this variable in 2 different screens or 3 different screens. And usually we just deal with like the variable itself when we are going to use it. So maybe in the first screen we are checking, yeah, if name exists or not. Yeah, we are displaying some fallback. But maybe in the second screen we decided just to print it out, the variable, and then the application might blow, or maybe we display some inconsistent state for the user. And suddenly we have like a lot of explosions inside of our app. And the same thing is when we try to send data to the API, like a put or a post request or something like that. We have a contract with the API. The API is expecting something. And sometimes we are sending the correct data structure, but other times we might also send a bomb to the backend. Maybe the backend doesn't do the validation because we are expecting that front end is doing the validation. Maybe we are sending a wrong data type. Maybe we are sending the wrong kind of data for the backend. And sometimes we even receive that bomb back, and the application just explodes because it's not what we are expecting. And one of the major problems with that is it adds a lot of degrees of uncertainty. So we can't say where in our application is the wrong thing. So we receive an error. So this error is a problem with front end because we are dealing with something that we didn't expect. We didn't expect it. Or this is something from backend because backend is sending the wrong data, or maybe the documentation from Swagger is different compared to what they are returning. We don't know. We don't know where to fix. So one thing that we can do to actually reduce a bit of those errors and also reduce a bit of those degrees of uncertainty is actually by handling those inputs right in the edge, right in the beginning. And the same thing for the encoding. Just in the edge, before we send the data, we deal with the contract that we are expecting to send and to receive in our application. This way, if we have a proper layer of protection, that, yeah, the data that is coming from the backend, we should validate it before it enters in our application. Once this data entered in our application is in our domain. So the data is a bit more controlled, the type is a bit more controlled. And if we have like a maybe, like a nullable type, yeah, we define that. We know by contract in the front end that this variable, this property is nullable. So we should handle it. So bugs and problems can be a bit easier to fix because we know that inside of the app domain is something that is entirely on us. Because if we make the data structure fail right away, yeah, we are expecting a string, and actually the backend return a null or undefined or a boolean or something like that, or even we expect a fill-in string. We don't accept empty string. So if we blow up the operation right away, we might prevent from having inconsistent state in our apps, and the errors are way clearer because we know that is with the API contract. So let's say that despite all of those problems, with proper testing, with extensive code reviews and planning, refactoring the architecture of our app, we might solve a lot of the problems. We might guarantee consistency in a lot of parts of our app, but still is not 100% guaranteed that the app is bulletproof, especially when we are dealing with pure JavaScript. So static type languages and proper type definitions and a type architecture might help us avoid a lot of those problems also. Sometimes with JavaScript, we just finish the project way quicker, but sometimes it's not exactly what we expected, and the application might not behave the way we expect. So to illustrate a bit more, what I mean by that is, well, I want to code a little demo here, and I want to introduce a library that might be interesting for you to use in your daily basis. And if we have a bit more of time, I also can introduce a next step if you want to add an extra layer of security in your app. So here I have empty JavaScript project. So yeah, I have a TypeScript config here, and I have a few dependencies here that I won't go much into details right now. But I want to begin by creating an index.js file, right? So, and in this index.js file, I want to simulate something that we do in our daily basis, right? So I will create a mock response from an API. So it's raw data, that is a JSON stringified, and maybe here we have a price that is 10, and we have VAT, right? VAT that is 1.5. So this is actually simulating what an API responds to us. Okay. All right. So I will create also a API service, and it's sort of of a dummy service that is just a promise that resolves into, and this promise resolve will be JSON.parse. It will parse the raw data, and this means that by calling this function, we will have a promise that resolves into this data structure parsed, and that's pretty much it. I will execute here a plugin called Quokka. So this plugin is a plugin that you can download in Visual Studio Code. So it will automatically execute JavaScript here. So we can do any kind of operations, and it will compile. And we have like the log of something here and here. Okay. So yeah, and I can say things like this: console log raw data, and we know that this is just a string representation of this JSON structure. All right, now I will create a function called init, and this function actually represents our program. Okay, this is a dummy API. We have a dummy API response mock, and we will have our application that will execute this code. And basically, I want to execute the API service, and when I have the response, when I have the result, I want to console log maybe total price is then is result.price plus result.VAT. So it's just a simple sum operation of those values, and we are actually expecting here to print it out 11.5, right? But if we execute our application, what exactly we gain is not what we intended. Is actually 101.5. And this actually happens because 10 and 1.5, they are strings. And JavaScript, when we do string interpolation, it will concatenate strings. So it's 10 concatenated with 1.5. And we receive this value. That is not what we expected. Most of APIs already do like type inference. So if we have like an integer in the API, it will convert to an integer. But some APIs, for example, for float values, they will stringify the float values. And even if one value is integer, our output is still the same, 101.5. And if this variable, naturally, if this variable is null or undefined, it will just concatenate. So this is a major problem. And yeah, just to see if we convert to 1.5, yes, our value is 11.5 here, right? So in this way, we have 2 degrees of uncertainty because we don't know if the problem is with the backend that is sending the incorrect data, or if it's the front end that is not dealing with the data appropriately. So if is the front end that should treat that variable or not? This is on front end or on the back end? We don't know because we don't have that explicit, this behavior explicit in front end. All right, so I will just convert this index.js to index.ts. So now we have a TypeScript file, okay? And now I will rewrite this application in TypeScript. So let's be really explicit. So this raw data variable is a string. All right, this API and let's create like some blueprint here, right? Let's create a type product maybe, and type product will have a price that is a number, and it also have a VAT that is also a number, and then we can say easily, yeah, the API function returns a promise that resolves into a product. Okay, so this is really explicit, and to be even more explicit, let's create a function to calculate the total price. Okay, and this function takes a product that is type product, and it will return a number. Then we do product.price plus product.but. This way, we are explicitly defining what the front end expects. So we are expecting numbers, and we are expecting to deal with numbers. But TypeScript, in the end of the day, will compile into JavaScript, and we will inherit all the problems that we have with JavaScript. So what happens if I start Quokka in this current file and execute in it? We will still have the same value. But this TypeScript version is a bit better because we remove one of those degrees of uncertainty. We are being explicit in our front end, and we are saying, yeah, we are expecting a number, but the backend provided a string. So we know that backend should go and change this value, or the front end also should handle that if this is by design. But it's more, we can say with more confidence that, yeah, backend sent the data incorrectly. All right. TypeScript removes one of those degrees, but still is not entirely reliable. We still might face things like this, errors like this, inconsistencies like this. And here is the part where I want to introduce you a library to handle that. We actually stop having, we might treat those kind of problems by decoding data that is coming from the API. And we can do decoding just by doing simple operations. It can be either a plain function that receives a value, and we can do things like, oh yeah, we should do value.price should be a number, and if it's not a number, we throw an error. We can make like something like this. But I will import this library right now, so I will import all SD. Okay, from decoders. This is the library, decoders.js. You can find more details here. It's from this person, NVA. All right. So by defining a decoder, we define a data contract that we validate at runtime. So we have our type product that validates our data structure at compile time, thanks to TypeScript. But we can also create here our product decoder. Okay, and we can say, yeah, a product decoder actually is an object coming from decoders that contains a property price that is a number. And it's not a JavaScript number nor a TypeScript number, it's a number coming from the library. And we also have vat, so d.number. Here we defined our contract that will be validated at runtime. So I will just create a function called decode. So we need, and this is by design, by the library design. We need to wrap a decoder into a guard. Okay, so this product decoder this decode function is a function that will decode products. Okay, and the only thing that we need to do in order to make this work, actually, and let me comment here the init declaration to avoid console logging. I just want to then, and we have the result here, I want to decode the result. And we can even be a bit more short here, because this is exactly the same. So when we have the response, we can decode this data. And now if we execute our app, we see an error, because the API is not fulfilling our contract. We declared a contract here, and actually price must be a number, but is a string. That is a number, should be a number, but is a string. And the application broke. Now we receive this log into Sentry or so, and we know that users are receiving inconsistent data. If we fix that, the application just works. Decoders just decode the values coming from the API, and we can with data inside of our app with more confidence. And sorry here, I didn't execute the function, but it's exactly the same, right? So this is most of it for decoders, and they are really powerful because we can do operations like, yeah, we might have, for example, birthday. So we have a decoder for date. Let's see, birthday. So d.date. We have date. We have ISO 8601. So those decoders will take care of grabbing a stringify date and convert into a JavaScript date for you. And this way you convert everything before using in your application. And you can do so much more complex operations. Besides that, for example, we have cases where, yeah, we are dealing with an API. Maybe it's a Ruby API that returns properties in snake case, full name. That is a d.string. We can even map. So we can map the result of the decoder, and we can map this to a function that will grab the result, and it will camel case the keys for us before entering the application. And if something fails here, it will just throw a fancy error, and you will know how to handle that in your app. So that's mostly it. What I wanted to show. I think we have a bit more of time, so I will show and I will show you a bit how we can evolve a bit of this. And for the actually for the encoding process is exactly the same way. You can also, let me just erase this. All right. So we can also create a product encoder, and we can use the same library to validate the data that we want to send to the API before sending to the API, and do all the transformation, maybe converting from camel case to snake case. The API is expecting a price that is a number. We can create the same kind of definition, because maybe this part of the data is the data that you will maybe use in your store and you will use across your app. Maybe you will have a form that maybe use parts of this data structure, and later on when you submit the form, you want to encode the form, and you can use the same library for that. In this case, is the same API. By having something like this is a great start, starting your project, and is a good, like, it adds a good layer of safety in your app. But still is a bit repetitive, because, yeah, you define a type product here, you define a decoder that might have the same data structure, you define a encoder that also might have the same structure, and maybe you want to add a bit more of security into this layer, and you can totally do that by using a different library for that. Instead of using decoders here, you can use a library called IOTS. And I won't go much into details of this library, because this is a functional programming library, and I don't want to enter here into functional programming concepts. But one of the main advantages from using this kind of library, it's because it allows you to create one data structure that is either encodable, or it will either encode and decode itself. So we can then do something like this. Let me just comment everything here. And let's go for example, I will create a product. And please notice that this is a constant product, right? And I will use the library t.type. It's exactly the same kind of way that we will declare our types in TypeScript in this case. And its price, that is t.number, is like the same pattern. They have mapped out a lot of different types. And vat, that is t.number also. And with that, we can create our type. And please notice that this is a constant that will be validated runtime. And here is a type from TypeScript that will be evaluated at compile time. So we can say type of, and this is from the library. and we just inherit type of product. This way, now we have a proper product that is a type extracted from a product variable that will be validated in runtime. And with just one definition, you can then encode and decode in this case. And here, encoding and decoding this way is a bit is a more or less the same, but we use a few functional programming concepts. But I don't want to go much into detail. But in order to achieve the same behavior, to be really like consistent and really short, now our product constant have a decode function. Great. And the only thing that actually changes here is this value is inside of a box. And this box is a type safe box, and we just need to put it out of this box. And the only thing that we need to do is call a special function called fold. So again, I won't go much into details on exactly what is this fold function, but and where it comes from. But a fold function, it has API that the first parameter is a callback that returns an error. And I will just promise reject the error. And the second parameter is the data, the result. So I will just promise .resolve data. This way we have exactly the same behavior. The application is compiling, and if something is wrong, we will still receive an error. And here is object, but it's just because I need to print it out in a predefined mode. But this way you will have a bit more of safety in your app, a new layer of safety. And yes, that's pretty much it. Let me go here. Thanks a lot. And yes, that's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much. So let me check if there are some questions. No, there are no questions. So okay, so thank you for your talk, and we will see you each other in after talk in a couple minutes. So stay tuned.
Thanks a lot.
Hey all, we are back with our after talk with Daniel. Hi Daniel again.
Hello.
And Norman. Hi Norman.
Hello.
So how are you guys?
Well, everything is fine. I'm actually watching myself, so it's a bit of a delay, so it's weird to watch in the past.
Yeah. We are in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Norman, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, actually. Your Rick dance gif just pushed my mood a lot anyways, but I also had a good day, actually. So
Yeah, it took me like 20 minutes to find the right gif for this. So
but these 20 minutes were totally worth it, if you ask me.
Like
it's just fantastic.
Best time of my day.
Best
time well spent.
Yeah, I just had a very frustrating end of work today because I worked on for 3 days or so. I worked on some optimization stuff with the framework, and just thought this is really cool know-how, and then I finally figured out how to really well test it, and then I saw it's just much worse than before. It just everything just got much worse.
How come? What did you try it out?
So we are using Nuxt, and the whole setup is really, really, really complicated right now. So there are a lot of verticals that are using the same main application code, let's say, and they have like some specialized parts. So if you're compiling one of the verticals, you're basically compiling the whole application with some specialized piece that is then the actual page, right? So there's a lot of code that is in there, like all the components and so on, that shouldn't be in there. But Nuxt doesn't really support any tree shaking or anything like this yet, at least not in a good way. So we have a bundle size of like 750 kilobytes. So, like even on a simple page, right? So I started building in optimizations, and I got the code splitting really well, so that although it is loading still like 700 kilobytes for the bundle and like 2 megabytes or something in total, it at least splits everything nicely up and can load things in parallel and has a, in theory, smaller initial load time and all these things. And even ES6 modules in browsers that support it, but it didn't just, it just got slower. Like perceived, it's the same, I don't know, but the Lighthouse performance score just like dropped by 10 points.
Oh my God.
It's really, really sad.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll try to figure out what it could be. But
Yeah.
maybe I just.
Yeah. Since the last meetup, I managed to like migrate to Czech Republic. I don't know if it's like immigration or migration or whatever, but it was fun.
Autogration. Whatever.
Exodus.
Exodus.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, just on Saturday we came out the quarantine, like we had like, because we moved in, so we had to end it like by the test. So everything is perfect now. Everyone is negative.
So negative.
Yeah, you are so negative. Yeah. So you also moved, right?
Yes. Yeah, I also moved, but inside the city. So even inside the part of the city. Oh no, I live in Schöneweide in Berlin. But before that, I actually lived like on the border to Schöneweide. So I always said that I live in this part, but because it's closer. But officially, I even moved from one city part to the next, which is, yeah, you need like 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes from one flat to another. So it's not too far.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like nothing. We moved almost like this was fun because we try to the moving company guy was like day before the moving we got that he got the message that he is positive, like, so he cannot do this.
That's why you wrote me that evening, right?
Yeah, and that was actually funny. Yeah. But on the evening the same day he did the PCR test and he was negative. So he did the first antigen positive and then PCR negative.
Okay, so it was a false positive.
Oh, yeah, I probably yes, because yeah, we were also like
you're all negative, right?
I don't we don't have it, so it was probably so it was lucky that he came like day after. So instead of moving on Wednesday, we moved on Thursday. But
okay, good that it worked out.
And then we crossed the borders with the Germany like around 9 p.m. in the evening, like in the night. Like
it's not suspicious at all.
Not suspicious at all. Like we had the car completely full of stuff. My cat was like burrowed under all the stuff somewhere. And children also, like there was like almost no space because we after we moved everything, we still have there's like some stuff. Hey, you have also cat. Perfect.
Yeah, I have. She's my debugging assistant.
Yeah, so it was funny, but it was interesting because on the other side, like on the if you wanted to go to Germany, there was like maybe 1 kilometer line of police cars, like barricades everywhere, almost
my
like it was really like almost army. Like they were like every 20 meters was police car and like guys with
Wow.
with the machine guns or like something like that. So it looks really
Crazy, yeah. Border controls.
And-
It's such a weird thing.
yeah. And on the way to Czech Republic, there is like no one, complete silence. Like
No one cares. No one cares.
yeah. So
The real car.
How is it actually in Czech Republic? Is it like the same as in Germany with the incidents or whatever they call it? You know, all those names that we just learned because we are in a pandemic.
it's hard to say. I mean, we are like kind of best in COVID, like almost in the world. I think we are, because if you count it like for cases for 1 million people, no, for 100,000, I think they are doing it. So we have like
I think it's 100,000, yeah.
yeah, we have lots of cases. Like we are like, I don't know what's the current number, but it's pretty high. It's something, I think 2,000.
So you meant not the best that I meant, I guess.
Yeah, we are the best
As in the highest numbers of cases?
yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's it.
Then I understand the border controls on one side.
Yeah. So we had like basically this kind of the British mutation.
Oh, fuck.
It's almost like maybe like 50% of cases it's and growing.
It's the same here though. It's the same here though by now.
Yeah, I mean
This
it's
British thingy.
yeah.
The mutation come from Brazil, right?
Mhm.
It's weird. I mean it's but at least for now we are fine here. Like we have like the lockdown, like that you cannot like go from the city, and from 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. for 5 a.m. you need to stay at home, only if you are going to work or from work. So but except that, like everything is closed, and so we have it until end of March. So let's see what will be after that. But
Do you need to commute to Prague already? Sorry. Do you need to commute already, or do you stay at home for work?
again,
Do you need to commute already to Prague, or do you stay at home for work?
I'm working from home right now. So
How do you manage to spend time like in those cases? Like I'm almost 1 year straight at home.
yeah, that's it's the same here. I mean, last time when I was in the office in my like former job, actually, it was I think in February before Vue.js Amsterdam. So it's
So I think
yeah.
I can't even tell you when I was in the office the last time. I think I was once in between at some point, like maybe in summer last year.
It's yeah.
But that was the only thing, and it was only in the evening because there was some small event.
Yeah.
It might even have been before COVID. Seriously. I lost track completely. I mean, I was in the home office a lot anyways, so that's nothing new to me, but I at least went to the office like once a week or twice a week before, you know? So it's nice to see your colleagues from time to time. But I have no idea when it was last time.
Well, last year, March 15, it was the day that it began quarantine here in Berlin, in Germany, right? And it was the day that me and my wife, we moved into this place. It was the first place. We were living in a hotel. So I just remember, like, in that day, we ordered a mattress from IKEA. So we went there and we pick up with those small IKEA carts, and we transported the cart from like one very far away from IKEA. I don't even remember, but it was from one part of the town to our place at Wedding. So we were in the train with all the sirens and then policemen, and we still don't speak German, or at least proper German. I think I can talk with like a kindergarten maybe if I'm lucky. So it was like a scene from other world.
I can imagine that. Crazy times. Huh? I also have a colleague who just started exactly right before COVID came up. So he wanted to originally come to Germany in March, in beginning of March, then couldn't, of course, and then everything just like got crazy. He's in Germany by now. He came then in May or something, April or May. So he had like one of those last flights, blah 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 stuff.
Mm.
So he was really lucky actually. But it's crazy because he didn't see most of the people in the company yet, and I think I met him once, and so it's ridiculous, but that's
Yeah, it was the same for me because when before in the beginning of year we hired at the from A to B like lots of people, like maybe 10 or 15 people, and I never saw them.
Dead.
Yeah,
It's just
and
what can you do, right?
Yeah, so that's crazy. So Daniel, what you are doing in Homeday?
Well, I'm working as a front-end developer. I'm still I don't know if I can consider myself new, but I'm working there for 6 or 7 months right now. So yeah. Well, and I'm working in a squad where we actually create one part of the product that helps the seller creates its expose. So basically, we create a software that helps you that want to sell an apartment or a house or terrain, and we help you to proactively publish your information into the system, and we help create like the presentation of your real estate to sell. So we are currently working in that part of the application, but we also own another application that actually helps our realtors to conduct an inspection in a property. But for now, we are not handling that application right now. So yeah, mostly we are we had like a palliative solution before because we needed to ship the screens quite fast. So we used integration with Typeform. But now that we have a bit more of time, we are getting screen by screen and replacing with our own implementation to feed the data automatically. Also to add support to our design system. I had a really great team, and everyone put a lot of effort to finally release the first version of the design system. And now we are porting all the screens to use that library. And aside from that, we are doing quite a lot of crazy experimentations because we have. We have 20% of the sprint we can use to tackle on tech debits, and we can negotiate even more time in the sprint. So at least in my squad, it's quite a free. I can do this freely. I can just create tickets. Yeah, I want to investigate how I can refactor a screen, and then I just need to push it to storytelling, explain my reasons, and maybe we can fit in the sprint to do something.
Nice. And that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's really nice. I really love my squad, especially because of freedom. But actually, right now we are having one of the best times that we have in the year. We have an engineering week. So basically, we have a few of those weeks per year, and basically we can come up with topics of things that we want to do in the engineering department, and you can do whatever you want. That is related to our product.
Yeah.
you read my mind.
Yeah, but we had like really cool experiments. For example, in last engineering week, we had one person who did Instagram filters. So this person used the library from Instagram to handle shapes and so on, and created a few filters. But we have more more application focused projects. And currently, I'm working in together with two other colleagues to create one SDK repository. We are creating a monorepo to abstract a few of the common features that we have in our apps. So maybe we have like center integration. We have like 3-4 apps that have their own center integration that are the same. And every time we create a new project, we need to do that. So we are creating a monorepo to extract all of this.
May I ask why monorepo versus library approach? Now that we are on the topic, it's really good.
Yes.
Flame war.
Well, well, actually, for this scenario, it kind of makes sense, at least for us, to use a monorepo, because we have quite a lot of dependencies, and just having splitted packages in our case it doesn't make much sense. We can just gather everything, and maybe in our case we are using Lerna to manage things, so we have split the dependencies into a package folder and we can just use it. But it's easier in this case to create a monorepo, and then we have the urge to split something. It's easier than have everything splitted and try to gather because maybe it's not working.
Yeah, sure.
But this is the only reason. And it's a bit easier, like, yeah, if we have like 10 packages, just like Lerna publish every package, and it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Last 2 years we worked with the monorepo, and I kind of used to it. That's you have like this kind of opportunity. If you want to do some feature, you can do it like really easy across the whole ecosystem with one pull request.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do like
You also have to rebuild everything.
Yeah.
So that's of course that's the up and down sides, right? Of course. Yeah. So we are also using monorepo at the project where I'm currently working on. And we have a 750 kilobytes package to load for the user, even if it's a static page, because that's just not how things work with Nuxt. That's the opposite of.
How are you using this?
So there's of course, I mean there's a common components folder with a lot of stuff, and there is all the configuration that is the same everywhere and so on. And if you're building the application, it is actually building a global application with the middleware and the pages and so on in your vertical. So of course it's including all those components, everything, because Nuxt cannot decide if this is important or not yet. Will be better in the next version with Vue 3. Hopefully things will just, let's see how long it takes, and then let's see how long it takes before we can actually move to that new version. But actual tree shaking would be just fantastic. And I already tried and experimented with some things to move things over to Byte, for example, so on, but it was too early. So Byte just threw me the weirdest. No, it's Vite, right? Vite. I think it's French, Vite, something like this. So yeah, it threw the weirdest errors at me, so I had no chance. By now it might be better because it's now the 1.0 or 2.0 even, right? So there's a release now. Maybe I try it again. Probably not. Because
Vite is quite reliable right now. I already used. So, for example, I need to create a library. I need to create a plugin. We don't have much like. We have a basic documentation, but for most things, I end up opening random Vue.js projects in the awesome list, or maybe a project that I already know, and I try to see how they built the project. And in order to do something, they have like some default templates, boilerplate templates to create libraries and projects, but still it doesn't fit quite right. And we tried to use Vite, and at least now is a breeze. They have like just one configuration file. If you need a library, it's just one property, extra property that you need to add. It's just like, yeah, library property, just give the name of the library, put the like external dependencies, add this, and Vite build. It works like magic. And if you need support,
that is really nice.
Just add a different plugin.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's really nice. So, I mean, especially if you start a new project, Vite is fantastic, and I really like to use it, especially since they use ES-Build even. So things are just like super snappy, and everything is really, really nice. So, but transforming a huge project like the one that I'm working on currently to Vite is, especially because it's Nuxt and they use SCSS and all this, all these things. It's really, really tricky because you have to set up a lot of things, and yeah, it's the contrary, you know, especially also the middleware and all these things. It's not so easy to move over. So I guess I just wait until Nuxt is moving to a newer build system. Maybe it happens one day.
I think this is possible, but
yeah,
you can
maybe
trust. But yeah, we are kind of working on something like this, and actually this monorepo experience was like my first trial on TypeScript. I had like only one goal, at least with this project. I was actually completely skeptical about TypeScript because I had a lot of problems with configuration. I spent more time in my app just like trying to configure and make the compile work. Just fighting the compile is completely different if we are gonna program like in Elm, that you just like create the application, everything is working. A new TypeScript application is completely working. But to add TypeScript support to your current application usually involves a bit more of layers, steps to add. And I just had like a discovery, like when I did Mike's course in Front-End Masters on how to migrate. Then things now starting to make sense. But I just wanted to add at least autocomplete support, even if I wanted to create like a JS file and a declaration file for people to have the autocomplete, at least that. But I end up like researching a bit. I forced myself to do all the front-end masters related courses to TypeScript. And in the end, I discovered like IOTS and FPTS. And then I'm just like trying to crack my head on this. I'm still suffering, but I'm feeling like finally I found the thing that will make me stuck with TypeScript, because I love so much Elm ecosystem and I can use almost the same thing with this. But but still is a bit tricky to make everything work.
yeah, exactly. That's always like moving over an existing project to something new versus just starting a new project. That's always the difference.
Yeah, I have this kind of same experience because I right now at my like the new company, I somehow get to add the tests, especially Cypress. So we are adding like whole Cypress combined with Cucumber, BDD tests. So it's really interesting because we don't have any tests. We have lots of like test cases, but everything is done manually. So our testers is doing it like with every major release. They need to go like over like 100 test cases manually. So it's pretty time. Yeah, exactly. So we are doing. So right now I'm trying to do
a hint for you.
What?
I might have some good information for you, but I'm looking for it at the moment because we are using Cypress as well, but someone is currently trying to move over to something else because things looked so much better and worked so much better with it. Oh yeah, it's Puppeteer, I think.
Oh, Puppeteer.
But Puppeteer is
Puppeteer
older.
with just. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's older and so much more mature. I didn't know that you're in the younger ones. So, no, I don't know. But we moved. No, we didn't move it yet. But so someone just tried to just use Puppeteer and Jest together. Like Jest Puppeteer is like some package that exists to move the tests over, and it looked so much better because in Cypress you have some like really weird magic happening in the background, and for example, you load a page, and then you have all those ci.get blah blah elements, and then you check if it's existing, and these things are always waiting for whatever timeout you set until the element appears and all these things, and that actually slows down everything like a lot. I know back then when Cypress was new, everyone was like celebrating this a lot because they had to wait manually for these things.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have async await,
Yeah.
And you can in theory use that, but you cannot get rid of this waiting for things in Cypress because that's just baked in.
Yes.
And Puppeteer is using async await nowadays for everything. So you just always await everything, and things just make so much more sense when you read them thanks to this. So it might be like a nice consideration just to have a look at it.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see, because I spent lots of time, like almost last week, the whole like trying to understand Cypress and how to do it. Like,
oh no! And now I'm just telling you, Cypress shit, don't use that. Yeah.
how to do it like correctly, because it's. I mean, anyhow, it will be like big step for our testers, right? Because they don't have to do it manually, and even we can do it like not only for big releases, we can do it like for basically every deploy, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it would be much more easier, but yeah, it's interesting that they survive like this.
And yes, especially if you think about what your company is doing. Should we tell this? Should we just keep it for? Yeah, that's your choice.
I don't know. I don't want to go much more deeper because we have lots of I with the tests. It's really kind of, I would say, it's the weak spot maybe, or of the, because we don't have not so many tests, because it was, that it's kind of these kind of startups when you start and you don't have time for this shit.
All of them.
Yeah,
that's just typical.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You just do like Facebook is doing, like just break stuff and fix them.
Yeah. Facebook is doing it, so it's all right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually worked for a company in Brazil. The last company that I worked in Brazil, it was a startup when I began, but it was in the financial market, and you are really impressed. I was really impressed that the company from the ground up, since like the beginning of times, they tested everything, and they don't accept anything that doesn't have a test, including that we did over testing quite a lot. That is also not as good.
Yeah, that's the like the other side. But yeah, I mean for financial sector, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you have like kind of audits or something like that, so like security audits from the banks or like whatever.
Well, it is an investment app, so it's an investment robot. So you put your profile information, like, yeah, I'm enthusiastic, I'm more conservative. So, and the company did the money application in the assets for you.
Yeah.
So we had like one case where one value was wrong, but like really low difference from what it was supposed to be. Let's say like it should be $900 million, but it was $900 million and 2 cents. And the client threatened to like put his wallet away and give up on our services because he also accompanied the investments manually. So we couldn't have the luxury on missing something. But still, we had
Some
like
people are just too weird.
We created like a screen. It was a new application with 2 screens, and it had 500 more tests. And this was just like unit and integration we had end to end. And this was totally over testing. This was like horrible.
Yeah, people tend to over-test when they start them and then say, okay, we really need to test everything. And then they test the button that, oh yeah, there's a click event on the button. We need to test that there's a click event on the button.
Yeah.
That happens.
Before I left the company, we actually were beginning, back at that days, things like Enzyme or even Vue test utils was like the hot testing libraries that actually makes you do more. They tend to push you to do more low-level testing that most of the times, I don't know, a lot of tests, 10, 20 tests, can be replaced by a way that we do by using like testing library from can see dots. So you can create one test that validates like 20 in a more reliable way. And we were beginning to factor that. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, the company I'm working for is pretty well tested as well. We have code coverage, I think, starts at 85%.
That's
so
nice.
Like you can, the build fails if you get lower than that. So, but they also have some things that are just tested for the sake of being tested. So that is a bit like, import a library. So you have a file that is somehow wrapping that library into a really simple thing, and then you have to test that because otherwise your code coverage is just going down a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a bit, but I think it's still a minor issue.
Ignore that in coverage if it's not.
If you ask me, you can. If you ask them, you might. But
because tests are supposed to give you confidence. If testing something that doesn't add anything of confidence of something that actually validates something in the real world, then it's not a useful test.
Yeah.
That's exactly my opinion, and I think they, let's say, partially share that opinion. But yeah, there are some things that are just really just tested for the sake of being tested. Whatever.
But this number's so nice, so just.
Oh yeah, exactly. You see, there's another green line now. Let's keep it.
Looks good on the presentations for the higher level.
No, we don't need that. But yes, you're right. General.
Testing subject is one of the best things. For example, how do you handle testing? How do you handle components that actually communicate with an external source like an API or so? Or do you do like split a test? You just create one test for the API service that grabs from a Mocket API, and then you do the component, and then you do for a store. Or you do like, you render a component that actually communicates with a Mocket version, a mock server, or whatever.
I mean, you can just mock everything out, right? Why not? Of course, it always depends on what you're doing. But I would always test the component only for okay, you have to write the component the right way. If you write the component with a lot of logic, then you need, of course, unit tests for that. Yeah. But if you're using a store anyways, you might want to have that logic in the store, if it makes sense. I might contradict myself here because actually I'm not a big fan of that. But it always depends, right? It is really, there's no one size fits it all solution here. But yeah, but with API communication, I would never let the component do these things. So like external communication at all, I would always have a separate piece of code that is doing this. It doesn't have to be in the store or anything. It just should not be inside the component, because the component is the view layer, right? It should be the presentation layer, whatever you want to call it. So it should not do the communication directly. It should always be separated. I at least think. And then it's also much nicer to test.
I see.
You have some components doing really dirty stuff here.
Sorry?
You have probably some really dirty components here. Your smile said, "Oh yeah, sure, you're right."
No, I actually agree. I agree. For like it will totally depend on the case. It's not one rule for every case. So I totally get you. Usually, what I try to do, what I try my best to do, and I think it's a bit nicer, but it's just because of my past experience that this can be wrong. But I like to try to create, like, maybe use Mirage, or that there is Mirage or NSW. It's like mock servers, right? So you can specify your endpoints in a nice way. They have like an internal or ORM. So this way you have like a mock server right away that you just need to map it out with backend. In some cases you can maybe create some automation tooling that grabs Swagger documentation and just feed up the Mirage server. And then I like to do a higher level testing in my components. So I like to load the real store, a real store in the test, and everything is hitting in this API. So, for example, I have a form, a screen that is a form. So I do all the preparation in Mirage. You can say something like, "Oh yeah, create an entity," or create something, or start the database. You can create traits like, "Yeah, create an entity with no user," for example, or an entity that is unauthorized. You can create something really declarative. You just begin your test by defining that. You load your component, and everything that is hitting in the API is hitting in Mirage. And then you can create, like, it almost feel like you're creating an end-to-end test. And render the component, fill in the form, submit. You are expecting that the API was hit with something like that. And because everything is, depending on the way that you configured, you might configure with like Faker or so, you have more reliable data. It's not just static JSON file that you're mocking and putting all over the place. Then the test sounds a bit more reliable in some cases. In other cases, we need to do something more specific.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I mean, that again depends, of course, on the project, right? My current project, for example, you don't really need to mock the backend for most cases. So you can really just test that one part well enough without, all this stuff around. There are parts of the project though where this is definitely different, but I'm not working on them, so it's good for me in this case. Yeah. So yeah. But of course, end-to-end tests latest need something there, right? By the way, Cypress. if you want to mock your calls, right, you will at some point stumble over the fact that Cypress is force waiting for stuff that you're mocking. If you check on it, if you just mock it, then it's not a problem. But if you check on it, it will wait. So the test will fail because it's timing out if the code is not actually calling this thingy. So like, our code is just calling all these things, and we want to make sure that it's never calling whatever Sentry or stuff that we are using for analyzing stuff. You can't do this globally because your code will just always fail. This is such an annoyance. Seriously. It's incredible.
One question: in which situations would you like mock an API call in Cypress in this case?
For example, if you have a website that has some analytics calls, can be like Sentry or can be also Google Analytics or shit like this. Things like this, I wanted to say. But then I definitely want to mock them. And then depending on, if you have an API call that you can really, really well define, then it might be nicer to mock it because you can just define it in the test, right? But of course you have to keep it up to date and stuff like this. It's, it can be tricky, it can be nice.
Sure. Well, thanks. This was like, I never thought on actually mocking like Sentry and Google API calls. It didn't run through my mind until like I just like, yeah, if I want to mock a 401 or a different status, I will mock it. But mocking the request didn't seem like right to me in Cypress because it's integration. But for those cases are really interesting.
Yeah. We started doing this actually very recently only because we're not using these things a lot, but the places where we want to use them, we of course want to keep Sentry and so on clean from the test run. And we are running tests for like, in CI for all the time. As soon as you push something, CI is running through. So you would get a ton of events there just because everything is automated.
Yeah. And how would you do, for example, if you testing some feature, for example, I don't know, user sign in the application, then for example, access card is assigned to him, like, and you want to also test it that it for example in the backend it's assigned the application with the right ID of the user, like the whole complete like integration test. Would you use it as Cypress, or is it possible to do it like this?
Yes, you would use Cypress for this. This would be then a smoke test probably, like one that uses like the whole stack and actual backend stuff without any mocking.
Yeah.
So you have a test database and just throw in users via Cypress and see that the resulting page is actually looking the way that you expect.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. But you should really, really keep those smoke tests like minimal because they take a lot of time and resources. So you don't want to automate it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still might face some inconsistencies, right? Sometimes.
Of course, it's software.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's end to end.
Yeah. So it's lots of work ahead. And and the thing is that it's not only Cypress. When I'm ending with Cypress, I need to go and write all the jest. But yeah, that's like planned for this year, I guess.
Nice. Oh, there's, by the way, Cypress Jest or Jest Cypress or whatever it's called, so that you can use Jest matchers inside Cypress. At least, gives you a bit of peace of mind, so you have all the same matchers. Yeah. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
It's a more familiar API also. Yeah, I'm seeing. I didn't know about this one.
I actually find the Cypress, the matchers at Cypress, I find this, I don't know, stupid is maybe the word. That you have actually a string with the matcher and so on without, I don't know, function chaining makes so much more sense in my head.
Yeah, I'm saving this. I will try to talk with my colleagues. Every time I create end-to-end tests, I need to open up the documentation, and I need a few minutes on like head heat up to put myself in the context, because Jest is so much more fluent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can still, of course, use both, right? If you sorry, you just import it, and then you can just use Jest matchers if you want to.
Especially because
we're actually mixing and matching.
Yeah, especially because we use Cypress dashboard for the design system library. So we have the shots that is nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
In this case.
So are you also writing a lot of unit tests then now, Jiri?
No, not right now. The future me.
The future you is okay.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I joined recently, so I had but they had like 2 front-end developers and no time, so the application looks. I mean, it's working. It's not the worst I saw, but there is lots of things to refactor and lots of like inconsistencies in a code. Right?
I see.
And yeah, so it's a lot of work, but it's good. I mean, I basically last year I didn't work, not at all, but with the Kurzarbeit it was pretty low, so I have like lots of, I mean, energy or like rest, like over the what's the charged energy, coding energy.
Yeah.
Overcharged maybe.
Overcharged maybe.
Yeah, so
nice. Yeah.
And this is interesting because I mean we are doing right now the system for the buildings, for the office building, like complete for the this, what's the name of it's the second largest skyscraper in New York.
Oh.
This one Wonderbit or something like that. So
probably, I'm sure I can Google it for you if you want to. But
yeah.
We can also keep this to the interested listener.
Yeah. So yeah. So we're doing this for this skyscraper. Like they chose us for the complete system. So there is lots of things to do, and I think it would be good to not to screw this up.
So you think maybe we have here and there?
I mean, we don't have so you don't have application that you like kind of do the things with elevators or something like that. So it's not nothing like that, but this like access systems and parking systems and everything should be working like smoothly together. So
of course,
use that as an argument. Do you want to reduce a bit like the probability of having something like wrong or inconsistent?
It's funny
access.
that we will probably this year. I think so. It's hard to say with the current situation, but we will be moving to the new offices, and it will be one of the offices we are like kind of serving. So we can. I mean,
of course.
So we will have like kind of the office will be our like test building, so we can try. So if you screw it, like it's you don't get you don't have access to your parking place, or I don't know.
Can you send the company in the chat?
Hopefully not. No, probably not. But yeah, so it's there is like, I mean, I'm really happy that I joined this company because there is like it looks pretty amazing. Like it has like pretty great potential, and they are building offices, like they will be building offices like at least for a couple of years.
What is the most interesting thing, like the most fun thing that you do in your company, like in your work?
What do you mean? Like,
Cyprus.
Yeah, something like that. Like the most enjoyable point of your daily basis work is like working.
It's hard to say. I'm really there like for the, like short time, but I mean, of course, we using Laravel, so like we have PHP, so it's so assuring that everything is working fine. But
Laravel is cool. Laravel is cool.
yeah, Laravel is cool. I know.
Just chose the wrong language. Yes, that's true.
But yeah, the thing is, yeah,
Linear
luckily I don't have to touch it, so it's fine for me.
Okay.
I'm doing just like safe distance from PHP. It's like 2 or 3 meters away from the API server. So like
Safe distance, I see.
Have you ever worked with Laravel or PHP?
I mean, with PHP, yes, like lots of time ago, but with Laravel, no. I usually work with Ruby and Ruby on Rails. Then I switched to JavaScript and Vue.js. So
You're happier.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
well, actually, I worked. PHP was my first language. Actually, Portugal was my first programming language, but PHP was like the first language that I used professionally back in 2009, 2008 or so. But I was impressed. I really, actually, yeah, in the early days of PHP, it was like a mess. It was terrible. But then, yeah, it hit Code Igniter, and then a lot of fancy frameworks like Cake PHP or even Falcon PHP, and then Laravel arose, and I work quite a lot with it before I moved to front-end development professionally. I had like a company, my own company, but I gave up of that company because it was like a family company. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I learned a lot, but it was mostly myself. But I had still 1 or 2 clients that they still call me at least once or twice a year to give a bit of maintenance in a PHP application that I made in 2010, and still like it's working, it's reliable, and it's up to date because it's easy to upgrade the versions, and I don't have to do anything. So it's working. But yeah, nowadays it's better, but it's not the most popular thing that people want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that
frameworks. You first.
Sorry?
The thing is that, like, for example, in Czech Republic, there is like big base of PHP developers, like really big base, like almost like if every second developer is doing PHP, then long nothing, like, and then there is like Ruby, Python, and something like that. So it's we have like pretty good base for it, but sadly,
that's why it's such a sad and desolate place.
But it's interesting that.
Sorry.
You're right. Yeah. So.
Let's say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but lots of people is switching to Go. Actually, I know lots of people who did Ruby pretty heavily late and switching to Go, and also same with the PHP. So I think it's definitely better to go from PHP to Go than stay with the PHP.
A lot of puns with that name. Yeah, but I totally agree. Yeah, I think Go is a very good language to switch to if you need performance and want to be like much closer to the machine. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, we have also some microservices with written in Go because it makes sense, because they are like communicating with the third-party API for the for the gates or cameras or security cameras or some systems for access. So it's definitely better use Go than PHP.
Yeah, definitely. Go has this one little issue, let's say, that you get if you have like really high load stuff. So for It's not an issue for 99% of the people, definitely. But because it's using a garbage collector, you can get like some weird load peaks that are really, really, really hard to debug because it's not your fault, right? It's the garbage collector doing stuff. But these things are actually pretty well known because Java started this whole thing, and a long time ago, people found those issues with garbage collectors, right? That, they just start doing their job and then just have a lot of stuff to do. But apart from that, Go, I think, is a really, really nice language because it's also really, really simple. It's so easy to learn Go. Mm-hmm. Like you just take a good afternoon and you can already start doing something. So that's really nice. Not like Rust.
Yes.
I like a lot really strict languages. So I like the small things like the structs, or even things like they force you to deal with the error first when you do like an operation that you receive the error object. You are forced to do that ugly if error, but you must handle that. I love those things. I love when the compiler or the language itself forces you to do the right thing and don't omit things.
Exactly. Like pattern matching in Rust, where you're always using it, but it's always also forcing you to really, really go over all the cases, or at least have a catch-all case, so that you, in theory, can always reason about things that happen, even if you know that this will never happen.
Yeah.
But you have to. That's just how it is. That's really good.
I have a friend who is currently freelancing for a couple of companies, and one weekend he called me and he just wanted to show me something because he wanted to discuss with someone, and he showed me the one specific code from one of these companies that they use it Rails, and he did one upgrade in one internal package and one other dependency, and actually. By reading the documentation, they needed to grep the project. So he manually needed to grep the project, going after things to change because it was like a breaking change. And it was like insane because even though those things are not sure. And he showed me the Rust application that he worked on, and he did the same thing. They were like quite similar applications, and he did the same thing, and the compiler just yells, you need to be there. This is wrong. This is the wrong type. You miss one switch case because now it's exhaustive check, right? So this is like the coolest things.
I mean, TypeScript can do this for you as well. If everything is really nicely strictly TypeScript, and you don't use this typical just any type stuff and so on, you can really save your day with those things, with those really strict checks.
Yeah, I actually have a plan. I plan to introduce to my company two concepts: a concept of eithers and concepts of tasks. Like the type, like either error, either left or right. Usually error or the result. And tasks that are promises that is just like a box that encapsulates a promise that is always resolved. If we introduce that, and you just add a functional typing library, and people like start to get those kind of compiling errors because you're not dealing with errors. You're folding. You must deal with error because it's the first parameter that you need to do, and you also need to comply with the type because the return of the fold left function must match the right one. So you can't just like return null or return whatever. You need to deal. So those things kind of make people deal with errors and deal with unpredictable states, and the compiler now after that starts to get in your way, and then you hate the compiler, and then you love the compiler. It's like
exactly
that relationship.
Either is a Haskell. It's coming from Haskell originally, isn't it? I mean, maybe not originally, but isn't that a thing that is used in Haskell a lot? This abstracted option, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, actually, this is a functional programming concept. So you can find it in Haskell. You can find it in Elm, or in Rust we have something like that. You can go after library.
Rust has basically specialized versions of that, yeah.
Yeah.
With the result and option types, yeah.
The only tricky thing is actually put in mind how if you do a pipe or if you do a flow, a chain or something like that, you need to put your mind in the state where what's the type of that and how the hell this works. So if you create like a pipe just to do a request and parse a JSON and let's say decode something, it's insane the amount of like concepts that you need to learn. It's not hard once you have something, or if you have like explanation, or if you have an example, but just by reading documentation on the types and so on, it's so much trickier. But yeah, every kind of language have something. Even I think like Reason or Camel, or they have that,
yeah,
right?
they have that as well. They do these things as well, but they're also pretty functional. That's true. Right, Jiri?
Yes.
Sorry?
Jiri was so silent. I just wanted to hear his voice.
I surely want to be in person and drink like a beer. I just have water. So
yeah, I finished my 2 beers. But they were small. They are really small bottles. They're only 0.3.
Oh, yeah.
It's also really a weak beer. It's only a red ale, so it's not too crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not drunk yet, not at all. Yeah, but I don't have any more beer, so I have to stop here.
Bye.
I have to go. I'm out of beer. No, of course not.
Yeah. So, what you are doing except of working in your free time?
Well, for me,
yeah, normally I know a little bit, but
we also talked about this like a lot already in this podcast.
well, I'm not doing much. My routine, my schedule usually is the same. I like to wake up early, so usually I wake up 5:30, 5:40 in the morning. I like to have a good, like, calm breakfast. I don't like get myself, and so I just like do whatever I want, and I have my breakfast. Depending on the day, I'm a bit lazy now because of Corona, but I try to do like exercise routine at least twice a week. But I'm failing miserably. So most of my mornings, I just spend a few hours studying, and then I work. And after 6, I just like let it out everything, do my German classes in Buzu and Duolingo, play with my cat, and give attention to my wife and my family. And then
this stuff.
Sorry, I'm just doing that most of my times.
yeah.
So what time do you usually go to bed then?
Actually, I'm in bed sleeping usually at 10.
So we have 1 hour.
No, I'm good. I'm good. On weekends, I just do whatever I want. So usually study a lot, but
You know it's not a weekend, right?
oh yeah, but
sorry to tell you, but it's Tuesday.
I guess.
I know.
Yeah.
But these things happen to me as well at the moment. I'm getting up really early these days. Like today, I got up at around 7. That's yeah, more or less.
I don't know
After 7.
if I should even start it because like
You have 3 kids. That's. I mean.
Okay, I see.
yeah. So today I wake up at almost the same as you, like 5:40, I think, or 4:50. I don't know. It was some weird time, but yeah, it's fun.
They are little? They are babies or kids?
They are everything.
They are, yeah, they are everything. That's the correct. description of my kids. They are everything and everywhere. they are 1.5, 3, and 6.
Oh.
So
okay, yeah. You have the whole package.
yeah.
Whole growing package.
Catch them all. Yeah.
It's almost a Russian doll. I helped like raise my nephew, and he's now 4 or 5, and it was like it demands a lot.
Yeah, and even like if you are working from home and you're trying to working from home, that's the better description. Is you're trying to work from home, but in the what?
Sorry. How is it with the kindergarten situation in Prague, not in Prague, but in Czech Republic?
They're closed now. Everything is closed, except our prime minister. But that's.
Do you have a video?
Okay, that sounds like a good story.
Do you have a video for the kids?
Sorry.
Do you have a video game for the kids?
Yeah, I mean my daughter, which is 3, and my son, which is 6, they have their own iPad. So when we need some, they have an iPad. They have a charger. So see you in.
See you tomorrow then. Yeah.
But they also have to eat. So it's.
Well, congratulations! It's a real challenge. So it's very like this is amazing to like keep running the community meetups and still like work and take care of the family. This is amazing.
It takes lots of energy, and I mean with the current situation, it's even harder. But yeah, I mean. This like at least these meetups are at least something like escape from the reality, and I can see Norman.
Yeah.
I saw you that you love gaming, but I don't know if you have time because you didn't mention it.
Me?
Yeah.
I usually play video games on weekends. Weekends I wake up the time whatever I want, and I usually spend the day with my wife watching movies. I like to cook, so I cook all the meals in weekend, and we play video games whenever we can because our Nintendo Switch controller is broken, so we are waiting for a new one.
May I ask, what time is it when, you said you're waking up whenever you want. I'm pretty sure it's still like crazy early because you're so used to it. You don't have to answer.
Actually, because I have a cat, the cat adapts to your routine. So usually if I don't wake up at a specific time, my cat makes sure to wake me up. At some time because she wants food or something like that. But I wake up usually in the weekends 7:30, something like that. Sometimes my wife wake up earlier than me in the weekends to take care of the cat, and then I can sleep. So then I sleep until like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That sounds like human times already now.
Sometimes we drink on Friday, and I wake up like wasted. On Saturday, then I wake up even later.
Okay, so you're still human. That's nice. That's great.
Actually,
but I get it. I changed like this as well. I'm waking up like 6 or 7, like 6 something or 7 a.m. on my own. My alarm clock started at 7:30, and I was awake already. It's like, what is going on?
I don't remember when I set it my alarm because I don't need to.
Yeah, of course you have just kids jumping on you, I guess. Yeah. Oh, hello, my dear alarm, joining.
Yeah. I mean the oldest one, like the 60-year-old and the 3-year-old, they are sleeping in their bedroom, so it's they can sleep like a little bit longer, like until 9 or 10, but the youngest one he's at 6. He's completely awake. So
Of course.
Uh-huh.
How old is he now? Like one and a bit, right?
18 months, I think, something like that.
No, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, but also like we have 2 cats, so when
Oh,
And they are huge. They are huge cats, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they are also like kind of in the morning demanding. So he's especially the oldest one. He's like 11 years old. He tried to get in the bed, but we are usually closing the doors. So he's standing there like for 20 minutes, and somehow intensifies the scratching on the door every 10 seconds. So it's
oh my god.
yeah.
My cat likes to be pet while she eats. So most of the times we need to go there and pet her while she eats. Otherwise, she goes to us and asks us to go there. Otherwise, she doesn't eat. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
I'm so happy about my dog. She just
oh my
sleeps.
god.
She just sleeps as long as I sleep. She even sometimes doesn't get up when after I got up, and then just waits for me to come from the bathroom and things. And then then I'm moving as well. This is great. This is great.
Yeah. And
I'll just stick to her.
what you are playing on the Switch?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to push you.
Alright.
But
Oh, no problem. I'm completely addicted to Binding of Isaac since it released it. It's like a infinite dungeon game. So you're just like, do you know this game?
no,
I know it. I didn't play it, but I know the game.
Yeah,
It looks so good. It looks really, really nice. Yeah, but I don't have time to play games. So.
you are so adult. Yeah.
But at least with Binding of Isaac, you can stop and do whatever you want. But I already finished Zelda, and I don't have much games because Switch games in Brazil are really expensive, and now here all games are really cheap, and I need to contain myself, otherwise I go bankrupt. So I play that.
Not cheap enough, as it seems. But aren't Switch games in Germany still like 60 euros or something like this?
Yeah, but it is a bit different. With one salary, you can buy like the whole game, not the whole game store, but you can buy a lot of games. With one salary in Brazil, you can barely afford one. You need
Okay.
you need to pay in a lot of times, sometimes 12 or less.
I see.
So
okay.
But here for now I didn't bought much games, but I play most games like family games like ARMS or things that I can play with my wife. But I want so much to buy a PS5 and play Dark Souls. Actually, Demon's Souls, the remastered version. I'm really hoping to play that this year.
Okay.
Diablo 2 Resurrected is something that I'm really looking forward to play.
Yeah, me too.
But
I used to be a huge fan of Diablo 2 actually, so that is really, really tickling. Let's see. Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, since the screw up of Diablo Immortals launch, it was the least thing that they would do. It's announcing Diablo 2 and 4, but still, Blizzard kind of lost it a bit, especially like with like the Warcraft 3 remastered version that they kind of screwed up. But I hope Diablo they will keep the essence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm not crazy confident, I have to admit, because Blizzard, they used to be such a great company, but that's a while ago. So let's see. But yeah, the last time I played a game, I don't even remember. A couple of years ago, I guess. no time for this. I also have this routine stuff, like getting up early these days, incredibly, but only since 2 weeks or something. Let's see how long this lasts. I'm doing sports. I do a lot of open source contributions. I do Dungeons and Dragons game mastering, so I need to prepare games here and there, like at least once a week. And all these things take enough time in my life, so no time for games. I try to watch some series on Netflix, but even that doesn't work well because I don't find the time for this. So yeah.
Which series did you try?
The last one is actually not on Netflix, but on Disney Plus. It's WandaVision.
Oh,
And WandaVision is so good.
it's
We only
good.
watched like 2 or 3 episodes now, I think. But it's fantastic. It's really, really well made. Yeah.
Yeah, I recently watched on Netflix the German thing. What's the name? The Tribes of Europa.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
It's interesting. It has kind of the same feel as Dark. It's from the different director, but it feels German, kind of, and
Is that a good thing?
hard to say, but
Okay.
but I mean
fair enough.
it's pretty. I think it's really good. I mean, I would say like it's like 6, 7 from 10, like 7% good. 70% good, and some parts are really interesting, but yeah, they ended up a little bit like with that there will be the second season probably, and
Better than
yeah, so but I really like this post-apocalyptic world when like they showing there are like really nice like scenes from like post-apocalyptic Berlin. So you can see the Potsdamer Platz with like really interesting take.
Okay, that sounds good actually.
And
I could like that as well.
some things were like shoot in Prague and in Czech Republic also. So it looks kind of familiar for us who like grew up there in the like or lived there. So it's interesting. And also, I started to watching on the Netflix the Order. Do you know it?
It's some fantasy stuff, right? I didn't watch it.
It's
no.
it's like also like fantasy, not the sci-fi. It's fantasy, more like
Yeah.
magic and werewolves and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would say. It's like another take for this kind of stuff, but looks interesting. That's pretty much it. What I'm trying because I started also like do some kind of sports. so I
Nice how you just like some kinds of sports. Okay, yeah.
yeah I usually when I moved I bring my the like this training wheel or not the wheel. What's the name? Is it Rotoped is also in German or
Rotoped?
yes? No.
No.
So it's like this fake bike, but for the like the stationary bike. I don't know what's the name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like staying instead of like streaming here. I have this bike here and like watching the TV show and
Okay.
so it's interesting.
Some friends of mine do this, or at least one friend of mine does that as well. They just watch something or even work while sitting on the bike, and they said that's really, really nice because you just forget about it at some point. You're just doing it. So,
yeah, it's yeah. But sometimes it's like when it's like the movie or the TV show, it's pretty interesting. You just like pedaling, pedaling, I guess. So
Yeah, I guess.
and you forgot about it, and then you end it, and then you just fall because your legs are like completely dead. So,
Good training then. Good
yeah,
training then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know how if you try to work right, like when you're pedaling, it's kind of because you need to move, and it's kind of really hard to ride. But I try to play
Yeah.
games while like doing this, and with the gamepad, it's okay, I guess. You can.
Oh yeah, because you have it in your hand, right? So why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like playing with the mouse and keyboard, it would be much more harder.
Probably, right? Yeah. I don't know. I never tried this. I'm more into exercising at some point. Things that I can do at home because I'm too lazy to go to a gym. I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays, anyways,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Even before that, I always failed in going to some place to actually do exercises.
Yeah.
So now I can just do them at home. I just use my lunch break or in the morning. Now that I'm getting up so early, I'm just doing it in the morning. Today, for example, I did really, really a lot of sit-ups, not sit-ups, push-ups, because some friend came to the fantastic idea to do a push-up challenge. And I, of course, came to the fantastic idea to say, of course, let's do this. Yeah. So,
What is the magic number you did today? Just for.
you want to hear? Yeah. I did in 5 parts. I did in total 77 push-ups.
That's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So yeah, I'm of course not completely untrained in this, but I felt my arms. I felt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because I had to carry stuff out right afterwards. So I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh anything, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So it's really hard. I try to, because as you can see behind me, there is still lots of boxes. I mean, you cannot see it, but I try to hide
I
it.
see some.
There's like, I don't know if
You're failing.
it's.
Okay. Oh yeah. There are some more boxes. Okay, you weren't failing actually. Okay. That looks the same here, by the way. So no worries. It's just one of the few clean rooms here. So the living room is still full of boxes.
Yeah. I mean, other rooms are fine, but this is like the because it should be the living room, but
Sure.
should be, but because it's.
I mean, it is. Yeah, boxes are living there, right? So.
Yeah, hopefully only boxes, but that's.
For your cats and your children already. Not that they are still below.
I mean, the cats might be there somewhere in the boxes. They usually use it as a like training ground. Same with my kids. So sometimes they just disappear in the boxes somewhere, but it's really hard to get like the furniture in these times.
Yeah.
In Czech Republic, the for example, if you want to order something from IKEA, they are completely full, like booked up like for a couple days, so you need to wait a lot.
Can't you rent those bikes where they have like a really large basket in front of them and just pick and leave? My neighbors are doing things like that.
I did that as well. I just rented a transporter though to get stuff from IKEA.
Yeah, the thing is that the IKEA here is in Prague, and we are not allowed to like leave the district. So, and the IKEA is not the excuse. So.
Okay, you can create furniture from the boxes, right?
Yeah. Actually, my table is created. This is from the boxes. I'm sitting here. It's my working table. It's created from the boxes. So it's
great.
So it's working. But yeah, I spent like a whole weekend like building the big IKEA box, IKEA wardrobe. Like it's not from the boxes, like the real IKEA.
Yeah.
And it was fun, yeah, because this floor we are living in the like old building. It's like, I don't know, 200 years old or something like that, and the floor is not even. Like it sometimes feels that the floor is like living. It's like moving sand or something like that. So we in the bedroom, if you are in one corner and in other corner, like the across, the difference in the height, it's like 20 centimeters. So it's pretty bad when you for the building the wardrobe. So our wardrobe is like kind of like,
Thank you.
Nice.
yeah,
You
it's
could just do like a shelf with steps. With 20 centimeters, that's already an option, I think.
yeah, but the wardrobe is like in the L shape, so it's kind of also like the safeguard for the before like the moving, what's the like falling down.
Oh yeah.
So it's good. So yeah.
No. When I moved in to this place, we didn't actually saw we just like visit this place once, and then we got the apartment, and then we ordered from IKEA because it was like quarantine time, so we couldn't just go to the store and see things. So we just measured, grabbed like the blueprint of the apartment, and we ordered. But actually, in my bedroom, the wall, we expected the wall to be straight, but actually the wall was like this, and then in the end it did like something like this,
Yeah.
and the bed didn't fit in the bedroom. So we had the bed really poorly positioned in our bedroom for a couple of months, and we needed like to change everything that we bought from IKEA at least once. And
Yeah.
Yeah, good times, right?
good times.
Especially because you need to build this stuff and then just disassemble it again and so on and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things I assembled these days, really.
Yeah.
Like also a big wardrobe, and the thing that I'm currently using as a desk is actually like it's like a sideboard a bit. So it's, if you just put it together, then it looks like a sideboard, and you don't see that it's actually a desk. But the upper part of the sideboard you can just pull down, and then you have a desk. It's really nice. These things I assembled these days was fun, but the wardrobe was the worst ever. The worst thing ever. I mean, this is just it wasn't an IKEA wardrobe, so the description how to build it was just so bad. But I managed. I'm currently looking at it. I'm still in awe that it's standing like this.
Yeah.
Good time.
We that's in IKEA you have this box system, right? You can like create your own. So we did this. So yeah, building it was really interesting. I mean, but I managed it, and also it was fun. We ordered the the fridge and the washing machine, and the guy who delivered me, he was only one guy, right? And we paid for the delivery to the door. Yeah, but if we would like, if I would say like that I ordered the delivery to the door, so but he wasn't able to get the fridge alone, right? Because the fridge was 118 kilograms, so it was pretty heavy. So I had to do it for myself with him. Luckily, we are only in the first floor, so without elevator, of course. So
of course.
So they needed by a hand truck.
So I paid like 10 euros for delivering to my, so for that I can exercise. I can.
Yeah.
So it was.
You see?
Yeah. taking
That's
care,
exactly what they
taking
wanted to
care of
do.
my health. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it was
So in Germany, there's a company called A&O, and you can order like especially this kind of stuff there. And I ordered my fridge and my washing machine there. And you pay like 30 euro for them to not only bring it to the door, but also bring it to the place, unpack it, assemble it, test it, and take everything that is left with them again. So you know they come, and when they go, you just have your washing machine, and that's it.
That's
no
nice.
trash, nothing. For
What's
30 euro. And actually, if you order something that is above 300 euro or something like this, that's not even a very high
Yeah.
threshold, you get this 30 euro discount.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even cost you anything in the end.
Yeah.
That was such a pleasant thing.
I mean,
So,
you have
yeah.
elevators anyway, but
True, I have an elevator.
yeah.
What's
so-
the name of the
There
company?
were two people. AO or A&O. I can just send you a link. It's just AODE actually.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. So the only thing that happens there is that, you know, if you not immediately order the stuff that you're looking at, it might just be gone after a month or after a week or so. I had it a lot that I just looked through things and thought, okay, nice. And next week or in 2 weeks or so, I will then just look through things and really actually order them. And every single item that I chose was gone, not available at the moment. So yeah, we have this a lot there, but if you find something and order it, and the service is really, really good. I never had any issues.
yeah. That's really nice. Yeah.
So,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, anytime.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thanks a lot. I think I have to go.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
So, please.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much for your time, and thank you for the presentation and everything. So thank you.
Sorry for keeping you up for so long.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's good to have social interaction. So,
Thank you.
well, thanks a lot for the opportunity. This was also again this was my first real presentation abroad in my case, aside from my company. So thanks for the opportunity and for all the reception, the kindness, and the conversation, and to give this like human touch in Corona situation. So thanks a lot. I hope if everyone enjoyed, I can bring more content. I have a few other things that they already have prepared that I can present.
Yep.
If you need anything, please just let me know. And thanks again.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah,
will
sure.
keep in touch and let you know. So enjoy.
Awesome.
Say hi to your wife and cat.
Sure.
And good night and take care.
And your switch.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Thanks.